story happened to me when I was about 11 years old. Now, I have to tell you, I wasn't very bright, but I loved being in the woods. And I was walking along one day, just enjoying a nice hike, and all of a sudden, I came face to face with a bear. Now, they always say, when you come face to face with a bear, there's one thing you should never do. What is it that you should never do?
Run.
You should never run. You know what I did that day. I ran. But I didn't run away from this bear. No. See, the bear was a bit startled as well, and he started to run. So I started chasing after him. Now, I did mention I was 11 years old and not very bright, right? So I start chasing this bear, and I have no idea what I'm going to do when I catch him. But it just seemed like the right thing to do. So I ran and I ran and I was getting closer. Now bears are actually very fast. And the only reason I'm sure that I caught up with this bear was he kept looking over his shoulder to see how close I was getting. And I was getting closer and closer and closer, and it was clear to him that I was going to catch him. So all of a sudden, he devised a plan. There was a big birch tree. We mentioned birch tree in this last story. Big birch tree right there at the end of the path. And that bear, he climbed up the tree, and there he was on one of the branches. And I reached the bottom, and I was looking up. And I swear that that bear was looking down, smiling at me, as if to say, what are you going to do now? Well, did I mention that I was 11 years old and not very bright?
No, never.
I reached into my pocket and I pulled out a lighter. Now birch bark is just like paper. So I pulled a little bit of it out, I lit that bark on fire, and it just went right up the tree. Well, that poor bear, he got singed on his backside, he jumped out of the tree and he was gone. Well, I'd like to say that's where the story ended. But about a week later, I was out in the woods again. As I mentioned, I spent a lot of time out there. And I'm walking along, and I come face to face with a bear. And it was the same bear. Do you know how I knew it was the same bear?
Because he had a singed behind.
He had a singed behind. And he started running again. Only this time he was running after me.
Uh-oh.
So I started running. Now, bears are fast. And I was fast, but he was faster. So I was running and running and running, and that bear was getting closer. I kept looking back, and I knew he was going to catch me. And I didn't know what to do. All of a sudden, I was just out of breath, and I thought, there's no way I can do this. And all of a sudden, I saw a tree with a low-lying branch, and I jumped up, and I swear that he ran by. I swear his back touched my feet as I held onto that branch, and I pulled myself up. And there I was on that branch, and I know what I was doing. I said to him, and I quote, "What are you going to do now?" Because I figured if he climbed up, I'd just kick at him and that'd be fine. That would be it. Well, that bear reached into his pocket, pulled out a lighter. True story. You want to hear what actually happened? There was no fire. You don't play with fire in the woods ever.
Not in the woods.
Not in the woods. No, what happened was, a few weeks before that, I had been watching the National Geographic, and they were talking about sharks. And they said, if you're in the water and a shark comes after you, if you punch him in the snout really hard, it will deter them. It bothers them enough that they'll leave you alone. So I thought, if it could happen to a shark, well, surely it would help with a bear too. So as he was chasing me, I thought, I'm going to punch him in the nose. Now, did I mention that I was 11 years old and not very? This was my plan. I figured when the bear got close enough, maybe about from me to Christine, I would just turn around and hit him as hard as I could. And I figured, this is an 11-year-old thinking this, he's running this way and my fist is going this way. It'd be like a super punch. I thought I might kill him. So he's coming and I do it. And I reach out and I stop and I punch as hard as I could. Now I'm going to stop the story for a second because you need to understand something. They say that when your life is in danger, time slows down. It's true. Because I watched my fist go right for his snout. And I hadn't told the bear the story, the plan. And as my fist was about to hit his nose, I watched as his mouth opened up. And my hand went into his mouth. I could feel the hot breath of that bear's mouth on my hand. And I knew the second I pulled it out, he was going to bite it off. So time really does slow down. So while my hand's going into his mouth, I came up with another plan. I'll just keep going. So I pushed my fist into his throat, and you could feel it was awful. I could feel, and I pushed as hard as I could until I reached the very end. I grabbed his tail from the inside. I pulled. He popped inside out, and he ran off the other way. And that's what happened, and I'm sticking to that story. And I think that's it for our evening.